I've started recording you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good evening, and thanks for spending your Friday evening with us, discussing a very important topic today. As a part of the BITSAA Sahaaya webinar series, we are really grateful for two amazing speakers to come share some insights with us today on building our resilience and walking our talk in the space of mental health. So I'd like to start with introducing our first speaker for today. Our first speaker is Divita. Divita completed her master's in psychology from University of Delhi and went on to pursue an advanced diploma in guidance and counseling from NIPPCD in Delhi as well. She's a licensed rehabilitation counselor, and she's currently working as a psychologist with the Empower cell at BITS Pilani, Goa. So she has also pursued her PGD in mass communication from IIMC, and she has a lot of experience working with children, adolescents, and young adults, including children with learning disabilities. And she has been actively working on a number of initiatives, as well as supporting assessment of officers and Jawans at the Defense Institute of Psychological Research as well. She has conducted workshops with Microsoft, Google, American Center, and many other big organizations as well. So having her own experience working with students at BITS Goa campus, we're really excited to hear from her about how we can build resilience, especially in a hard year like 2020. Thank you, Divita, for joining, and the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Okay, so good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking time out, and we'll all stick to our timelines, the time limit that has been given to us, and we'll try to make it as interactive as possible. And we would like you all to please unmute yourself. If you can come on camera, wonderful for us also. There's always nice to have some connection. It's always nice to have that communication going on. So let's keep it very interactive. Let's keep it very dynamic. So what I am going to cover right now is, and also welcome Sowmya as well. So I am going to cover here basically the components of resilience, the basic domains of resilience. What do we mean by resilience? I'll try to incorporate certain videos, and then we will go, I'll hand over to Sowmya, and then we'll also have some Q&A at the end of it. So let's begin without taking much of the time. Now I'll start sharing my screen, and Divya, just let me know everything is fine. Okay, it's visible, right? Okay, yes, fine. So I'll begin here. Okay. So I want to basically bring on everyone else, and I want to know from people, what do they think? Like, these statements are in front of you, these 4 statements in front of you. When you read them, can people comment in chat box and everything? Do you think it's a myth or a fact when we say that resilient individuals do not experience emotional distress? Do you think it's a myth or a fact? Can anybody share their views in chat or unmute themselves? What do they think? Okay, it's a myth. Fine, yes. All right. Yeah, true. It's a myth. Going on to the next one. Resilience is inborn. Either you have it or you don't. It's as simple as that. Is that a myth or a fact? Yes. Thank you, Aarti. Yes, it's a myth. The next one, when we say the next statement, resilient individuals go through their experiences alone. They're all in this. No one is together in this. They're all alone. They're going up the mountain all alone. Is that a myth or a fact? Okay, fine. And the final one, resilient individuals never burn out. If you have resilience, there's no scope for burnout. Absolutely not. You have resilience, which means you should not be able to burn out. Is this a myth or a fact? Okay. Yes, absolutely true. Good, wonderful. Let's keep this interaction going on. Fine. So let's then understand, when all of this is myth, what exactly do we mean by resilience, right? So resilience in a nutshell, if I have to put it, resilience is basically, it's that power, it's that ability of an organism to return to its original form, right? It's as simple as that. But why do I need this resilience? Where is the need to go back to my original state? So let's explore the reasons. Why do is this my original form not okay? Then why do I need resilience? What happens in my life that I have to need resilience? Right? So what are those factors? The first and foremost, these are the setbacks of my life. Okay. These setbacks, first of all, we experience them from time to time in our lives. There has to be a roadblock, a defeat, any mistake, a speed bump in the road, relatively minor hiccups also. Now the function of all of these is simply to basically slow you down. And this is exactly where this ability to bounce back, which we call resilience, this comes into picture. I have to go through these hurdles, and some of the hurdles I will have to be able to adapt in the first place. That is exactly how it shows up in our lives. Now, let's take an example, a very simple example. Maybe you planned a project to be completed by Friday, but something came up and you couldn't finish it until Monday, completely missing your deadline and making your boss or your client or your professor super mad at you, possibly to the point where you are yourself not even sure that you can repair the damage also. Or maybe it's not getting the promotion you thought you were getting or you were promised, or maybe it's you being let go. This is what exactly the roadblocks will do. They will actually threaten you to make you feel stuck. There's something that impedes your progress or prevents you from accomplishing something. Now, what is it, the normal response that I have? I understand now these are the setbacks, but what is the normal response that I have to these setbacks? And it's completely, the first and foremost, of course, is anger. Anger is it's like you've been just unjustly convicted of a crime that you did not commit. You might feel a little frustrated or sad because you let yourself down, or because you're not quite where you wanted to be at this point in your life. This is one response. Second is, of course, the blame. I blame the situations. Then the third one is the cataloging my woes. So what happened? You know what? If that cat had not shown up at my door, I wouldn't have been late to the office, and then I wouldn't have left this bad impression on my boss, and this wouldn't have happened. So I create a story around all of this, and I'm cataloging my woes then. And everything, and depending on the size of the consequences that I'm facing, it might be a little or a lot, we're a little and a lot scared about what lies ahead. So I don't know what lies ahead of me. I'm a little scared or I'm too scared, right? So now this is one aspect. And what is the another aspect then? If this is one, if this is the normal response, there is this one video that I want to quickly show here for a 2-minute thing. And just give me a moment here. How does it exactly shows up in hard times? How does it happen? Let me know if you can hear clearly. I'm trying to share the computer sound. Yes, I hope it's
fine. You're going to get knocked down. A long business relationship will come to a sudden end. A contract won't be renewed. A lover will call it a day. People will suddenly be weird with you. They'll keep you out of lovely things and you won't know why. You'll read about yourself on social media and every worst fear will be confirmed. Quite a lot of things go wrong over a lifetime, and you'll want to die and throw it all in and quit this painful world. When you look at a child, this is what's coming to them. That's what makes it moving to look at a baby sleeping. You're looking at innocence through the lens of painful experience. Oh my, they're going to suffer, and there's simply nothing you can do to help them. Apart from one thing, teach them that the suffering is normal. It isn't a sign that life has gone wrong. It's an ordinary part of everyone's biography. The only way is to learn to fight. The temptation will be to withdraw under a rock, to pull up the drawbridge to go into a shell. But the challenges are like a fire, a bed of coals you have to walk across. The fight is to be expected. The difficulties are a sign that things are on track. That you're being rejected, that there are haters, isn't evidence that your life is a ruin. It's proof that you've found something worth living for.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, this is exactly what really happens to all of us. We all go through these times where we feel that nothing is going to happen and nobody is paying any heed to us, and these are all part of setbacks. Now, add another factor into this picture is the way that we have the world around us right now. The how we spend our day. These are the shiny exteriors that we get to witness. Uh, Another aspect is that we spend all day with ourselves, and as we walk around, we think mostly about our past mistakes, our embarrassments, our failures, and this all of this is bouncing in our head, bumping against the future worries about family members, finances, workplace conflicts. Occasionally, sometimes we have this experience, what is called the present moment. All of this is going on inside of me. But amongst all of this high definition exposure that I'm having with my own rough edges, I'm seeing the shiny polished exterior of my coworkers. How is this world looking out in front of me where I only see smiles? I'm seeing happy marriages, I'm seeing thriving children, I'm seeing better grades, I'm seeing promotions, new houses, additions. And among all of this, one thing that we all miss here is the inherent messiness of this thing called life, which is very carefully omitted among casual conversation. In my head, I'm only going through my mistakes. In my head, everything is about limitation and flaws that I have. And the surrounding actually are very contrary, where I'm actually seeing that everybody is successful except for me. What a contrast. And what does this do to me is and we're wonderful at that. You know what? We are so very aware that I have my own hiccups, I have my own challenges, but we're very good. We're pretty good, in fact, about not showing them also. Now add social media and relentless expectation for what success looks like, and it can be easy to start to feel like you don't belong because you don't perfectly fit the mold. We can quickly actually believe that we're on the far end of human failure. We're an outlier, we're a fluke, or maybe I'm an imposter. And that is exactly why, where this, this my inner locus of control, my personal view of my own self, my world and my capacity comes into picture. And this is what we have to be very much aware of, this contrast which presents in itself every single day. And we do not have any space to discuss about this real messiness of our lives. Now, how do I overcome this? How do I do this? Is, first of all, I understand that it's never a straight line. All of this, when we realize, when we're overcoming any adversity, it's never a straight line. No one gets it better in a straight line. Overcoming your struggles, it's like an up and down battle. Lots of ups and downs also. But you need both peaks and the valleys in order to keep moving forward. These ups that you have, it reminds you where you want to go. And the downs that you have push you to get there, to push you to get to the up that you want to. So this not so straight line actually brings us face to face with our resilience. So if there is no straight line, then what does this thing resilience includes? We're all complex beings. So what exactly are the components of resilience then? Of course, there must be very different factors and domains that contribute to resilience. And I'm pretty sure that I have it. Sometimes you question, do I have resilience or not? Actually, you do. So it's very important to understand what are these elements and factors which contribute, which actually make up this thing called resilience. Apart from the factors that you see here on slide, there are three important elements which are essential. First is the challenge. Resilient people view difficulty as a challenge, lessons to be learned from, and opportunities for growth. Another is commitment. They're committed to their lives and their goals. They have compelling reason to get out of bed in the morning. And personal control is the third element. And any resilient individual will spend his or her energy focusing on the situations and events that they have control over. What is it that is under my control? Very important factors, because this is actually creating the world that I have within my own head and the world that I'm seeing. And then I'm finding that middle ground, that harmony within me, where I also give this surety to myself that I also have a right to exist, and I have faith in myself that I'll be able to see myself through all of this. Then if these are the three elements, then what could be the domains? A very important part of resilience. Okay, and these are the basic 6 domains of resilience. Most important domain is the vision one. You have to have a vision, a personal vision of yourself. The reason this is most important domain is that all other domains are guided by what it is that you want to achieve. Having clarity in this domain allows you to be decisive when facing tough choices, to maintain a perspective when you're facing any challenge, whether your goals related to family, to work, or a side project that I have. What's important is it has to be very clear and specific to me. It can only come when I have a vision. Then comes composure. Composure is about regulating your emotions, the fight or the flight response of the brain. What is it that I do? So interpretation, right? How do I interpret? So I'll give you a very, very simple example. And this is a very important example because a lot of time interpretation bias gives us the information, what do we think of ourselves. Suppose your boss walks up to you and he says, you know what, I need to talk to you. Come see me later. In that moment, do you panic? Do you worry about getting into trouble for something? Or maybe I'm getting fired. The statement from your boss in this example is actually neutral. There is no direct implied negativity. It could just be as easily a good news. And there are so many places where it says that natural inclination to negatively interpreting ambiguous situations makes people 6 times more likely to show the symptom of depression, while positive interpretation bias results in higher resilience. This simple statement, what is it doing to me? Is it giving me panic, or is it actually making me feel and have a conversation with myself where I say, it's okay, maybe there is something that he wants to discuss, or maybe there's something good, maybe he really wants to appreciate me. That shows you how am I actually having a conversation with my own self. Very little things also. Now, composure is not just the big crisis that we face, but also the little everyday things. Getting emotional in traffic jam, mostly not useful. So asking myself in that moment, why am I bothered? Why am I getting worked up? What is getting me worked up? Asking yourself the right question is also very, very, very important. By maintaining your own composure and knowing what you want to achieve, change is no longer a threat for you. You in fact look for things that others might have missed, and that in fact helps you in succeeding. Rarely, another very important factor where we say that if I say I'm an expert at something, if I say I'm very good at this topic, I must attain A grade in that particular topic. This is where I say that every single thing has to be right in the first go only. But the reality is rarely will we do things right in the first go. And even when doing something we know well, eventually we will make mistakes. At home, with friends, at work, mistakes creep in everywhere. So what is important is how we react to mistakes. Admonishing ourselves and dismissing ourselves will really not help. Instead, it is important to be able to objectively look at our mistakes, find what was the lesson here, where did you not show up for yourself, where did you not stand up for yourself. The past is there to learn from, but not to dwell upon. And another important factor, we're social beings. The brain has a deep fundamental need for connection with others. To be able to thrive, the brain has dedicated neural structures to recognize facial expression, and we have mirror neurons that fire within the brain to help us empathize with others. And that is where it all comes into the picture, where we say that we're all in this together. Connection is that important. So what we do when we focus upon it is not just for me, it is for all of us, to help our communities together and improve our world. This connection is very important, and this is what collaboration is about, which also leads us to giving support and feeling supported. Now, in a complex world, few of us can achieve anything meaningful alone. It is crucial for us to build support so we can both have safety net and be that safety net for others also. Now, there are so many research which says that peace of mind, it's not actually available. It's not actually the available support that really matters. That, you know what, I have to have this person coming to my home right now to be able to say to myself that yes, I have the support in my life. Instead, it is the perception of the available support that I have that is important. So even if you have 100 people ready to support you, if you do not realize this, you will not feel supported. Keep this in mind for others as well. Show the people you care for that you are there to support them whenever they need you. The way that we support each other and we feel supported is the crucial element in building resilience. Taking good care of your health. By now, I'm pretty sure physical, emotional, sleep, nutrition, routine, activity, I'm sure you're all aware of this, but these are very, very vital factors. And sometimes we really take them for granted. We really have to begin with the basics. These are those basics. what is great about these domains is that we absolutely have the capacity to build and improve on these domains every single time at every point in our life. And thus, when we can easily say that life at every time will tell you that you do have that ability in you to develop your own resilience. It's never too late, or it's not like that you don't have it in you. It's like a lifelong ongoing journey for us and our effort to improve our own quality of life. This is very important. I would, do we have time, Divya? I would really want to show a video here, which says that what are those 3 important ways in which you actually can understand resilience, and how you can develop that.
Sure,
okay,
sure.
So fine. I'll just share my screen.
So the video is not playing yet.
Okay.
You just feel like you are climbing a mountain every day. And
is it playing now?
Yes, now it's playing.
Okay. You feel like you are climbing a mountain every day, and every day you get up and the same mountain is ahead of you. My wee girl Abby, who was 12 at the time, hopped in the car with her best friend Ella and Ella's mum, who was also a really dear friend of mine. And on the way down, a driver sped straight through a stop sign, crashed into them and killed all 3 of them. So I just have this peculiar insight, really, that, you know, I've done the academic study, I've trawled over all of the research, and then I've had to really test what works in a really, obviously, horrifically personal way. And I can say that I feel really lucky now, because having had that training, I did at least have some tools at my fingertips. But I want to make a really important point here, that too often people focus on resilience thinking it's just a personal thing, and actually we know that it's much, much bigger than that. Not seeing yourself represented in society is potentially damaging for your resilience, whether it's race, sexuality, ability, mental illness, any form of prejudice like that feeling that you don't belong, you're not seen and you're not heard, is hurtful and reductive when it comes to resilience. So why is it important for a country to be resilient? Because it enables us to mobilize our resources faster. And in that, I mean everything from portaloos to trust. Think about our ever-changing environments that we know we all live in nowadays. Bushfires, COVID, the earthquakes, you know, change and adversity come thick and fast, and resilient societies, resilient nations are so much better able to respond in that time, to be able to protect their weak, their vulnerable, to be able to protect the economy, to weather whatever comes in a much better way. So on that personal perspective, the good news is that research shows that resilience really requires what we call ordinary magic. It's not some elusive trait that is only available to a few. We can teach people to be more resilient. The 3 strategies that I relied on when the girls died, and to be fair, I absolutely still rely on now, I've wheeled them all out again recently, are the number 1 is understand that suffering is part of life, whether it is divorce or redundancy, losing a partner. Really tough things happen to us all. So knowing that, going into this terrible experience, knowing that adversity was common and that suffering was common, really did make a difference, because it prevented me from feeling singled out. Number 2, tune into the good. We get sucked into what we call in psychology a negativity bias. You know, we're really good humans at looking at all the crappy bits, but actually we're not so good at tuning into the good stuff. And it's really, really important for us to counterbalance that by choosing to focus our attention on some of the good stuff. And resilient people are really careful to choose where they focus their attention. Number 3, ask yourself, is this helping or harming me? Is the way I'm thinking, is the way I'm acting right now helping or harming me in my quest to get through this? All too often, people think that resilience is about that good old stiff upper lip, and it's not that at all. Actually, being resilient is also being able to accept your vulnerabilities, knowing when you need to get help and to reach out. Studies have shown that having strong supportive relationships is probably the most important thing we can do to build resilience. We were really lucky. We had a really supportive community who helped us, and all of this is what you need when you navigate trauma and adversity. Nobody goes it alone, and one of the key researchers in the field, Chris Peterson, used to say, other people matter. That was the 3-word summary of his decades of research.
Yes, I hope that video did make some sense. And moving on, now we should move on to understand how can we develop, how can we build this resilience? So now I would like to give it to open it for Sowmya so that we can move further here.
Thank you, Divita. That was lovely. I'm so inspired and definitely very touched by some of the examples you've shared, especially the videos. But I think you had some really deep insights that I think are like strong key takeaways already. So yeah, now I'll go ahead and introduce Sowmya. Sowmya is actually a BITSAAN, so she graduated with MSc Information Systems in 2008 from BITS Pilani Goa campus as well. And after a brief stint at SAP Labs India for 3 years as a software engineer, she changed her profession to enter the field of psychology. She's been teaching graduate students of the SSS Jain College, Chennai for 6 years now as assistant professor and head of the department. And she's deeply passionate about helping people overcome challenges through psychoeducation, counseling, and guidance. So she recently started Purple Flow Psychological Counseling Services to share more of this knowledge and offer psychological counseling. So thank you, Sowmya, for making time, and really excited to hear from you as well.
Thank you, Divya, for the introduction.
Sowmya, can you hear us?
You're able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, Divita, for the wonderful background to resilience you've given today. So, before I start with my topic, I would like to bring your focus to why, in the first place, we're having to talk about resilience and mental health, which we always considered was second nature to all human beings. If you see how life has changed, is the volume better now?
Slightly better. Okay.
If you see
Perfect.
over the past 30, 40 years, the society we live in has drastically changed. The way we eat, sleep, or interact with each other, everything has fundamentally changed. Can I share my screen?
Yes, you should be able to share your screen. Yeah.
So, 3-4 decades before, if we had to come home after a very strenuous day at office, we were sure that there were always people at home to listen to our problems, tell us that these two will pass on, and that they have also walked through the same path like us, and that their success stories and their failure stories will also be part of our growing up. But these days, the family sizes have shrunken, and talking to each other has become a very big problem because of, number two, the advent of social media. Today, mostly both the parents are working, and when they come back home with all their work stress, they meet children who are already fighting their own battles because of this over-competitive world that we are living in. As a result of this, we are all reinforcing our negative emotions among ourselves. We are so comfortable talking over the phone through social media and expressing our emotions than discussing these emotions with the people whom we are living in, with our immediate family. So the parents are completely unaware of what their children are going through. And at the same time, the children are unaware of what the parents are going through. And the family, which is supposed to be the grounding factor for all our positive or negative emotions, is unfortunately not being so. This is why the number of cases of incompatibility and maladjustment is increasing during this pandemic season because of incompatibility with our own primary family members. How surprising is that? Right? And thanks to social media and the changes in family structure that has dramatically changed the setup. So each of us are, instead of grounding our emotions, reinforcing the negative feelings amongst ourselves, and we are bleeding into each other's life. So the family, because the family has changed, no more resilience and mental health are inherent part of a growing up. They are no more second nature to all human beings, but it has become necessary that we have to consciously cultivate these things. So in this presentation, I would like to go through a 7-point strategy to deal with challenges that you may face in life. So these are not any new wisdom or rocket science, but these are simple everyday facts which we have severely discounted as life is on with us. So without much ado, I would like to go into the techniques that I would prescribe to building resilience in ourselves. Number one is practicing moderation in life. I know I am in a group of high achievers and I'm not batting for mediocrity, but moderation. Because anything of value requires that intensity and passion to it. So it's not mediocrity, but practicing moderation that is important to build resilience. Many times we love seeing life in black or white. Either we see ourselves as a complete success or a complete failure. But life is somewhere between the dark and light shades of grey. So, in pursuit of a single goal in life, be it your financial goals or academic goals or relationship goals, when we are single-mindedly pursuing that one goal, what happens? We excessively discount the other areas of our life. So this creates a severe lacuna in other areas. Have you thought about if you have had a good night's sleep? Have you thought if you enjoy good nutrition? Have you thought if you have a good support system around you? Because as long as the single pursuit that we are behind is going smooth and we are meeting our own expectations, everything is fine. But the moment we start faltering, the moment we fail to meet our own expectations and the expectations of people around us, that's when we realize that there are severe lacunas in other areas of our life. That is when you will need something to fall back to. And that is when you will need to have a balanced lifestyle overall. So instead of chasing superlatives, understand that life comes in different shades of gray. And my invitation here in life is to take an occasional pause and do a holistic risk assessment of your life. If you see there are severe deficiencies in any one area, work on them and practice moderation. I would like to go to the next technique. Assess what weights are holding you back. Many times when we are stuck with problems, when there are obstacles coming in our way, we do not know what is holding us down. A little introspection would help us understand what these are. We all grew up listening to our parents saying, don't do this, don't do that. Yes, to some extent we are products of parenting. And each families, if you think back, will have some favorite statements like be perfect, please others, be strong, try hard, hurry up. These we call as the driver statements because these have driven us to where we are today. It has shaped us as to whom we are today. But somewhere as we grew up, these statements became inflexible and these became weights that are holding us back. So somewhere the driver being perfect has become you're only okay if you get everything done perfect. And we stop taking big chances. Somewhere please others becomes you're only okay if you please people. And we end up pleasing others always, forgetting what we need at that moment. Be strong becomes you are only okay if you are strong and hide your emotions. So even though we are crumbling inside, we try to put up a brave face outside. Try hard somewhere becomes you're only okay if you keep trying hard to do things. So we stop enjoying the simple pleasures in life. And hurry up becomes you're only okay if you do everything right now. So pausing and enjoying the moment becomes a sin. And we start seeing pausing in life as unproductive. So what we could do, assess our drivers with which we have grown up and positively program them into allowers. Use these drivers as your strengths and make them your allowers by positively programming them into more flexible statements in life. Like be perfect could become it's okay to be yourself. These others could become it's okay to consider and please yourself first. Be strong could become it's okay to be open and to take care of your own needs. Try hard could become it's okay, just do it, like Nike says. Hurry up could become it's okay to take your own time. So my invitation here is to use your drivers as your strengths, make them your allowers, and use your allowers to progress forward in life when faced with obstacles. Moving on to the third one, embrace the sun, dear indoor generation. Why we call ourselves an indoor generation? Our homes and our offices have become so cozy and comfortable that we rarely want to venture out into the sun. Even when we are going out, we plan to go to malls or theaters, which are again indoors. So this is largely disconnected us from nature and the sun. Research has proved that 15 minutes of walk per day in the sun could boost your moods, could boost your sleep quality tremendously. This is done by increasing your serotonin levels and your melatonin levels in the blood. So even when you're facing symptoms of anxiety and depression, a 15-minute walk in the sun, in the morning sun, could rejuvenate you completely. So we ensure every day we recharge our laptops and mobile phones. So we should also be religious in recharging ourselves for the day. So in a country where we have most part of the year as summer, there are so many cases of vitamin D deficiency. The same is with mental illnesses also. So sunlight, together with other techniques, can help us boost our immune system and boost our ability to fight back when we are faced with obstacles in life. So my invitation to everyone is to take a nature walk at at least 15 minutes per day for regenerating yourself physically and mentally. And believe me, the 2 a.m. to 9 a.m. sleep is no longer cool after college. Number 4 is sensible social media usage. As pointed out rightly by Ms. Divita also, the social media gives a glossy picture about ourselves, which is rarely true. I think you would all agree if I tell that what brought us together is also now breaking us apart. What brought us together is also now breaking us apart. Social media has successfully connected people who are far away together, like it has done now. But what it has also has done is, it has disconnected people who are inside the same homes or next to each other. So how many of you can tell me that your social media pages are not glossy, not overrated, and are really as boring as you are? Can anybody accept that as a challenge and tell me that your social media pages are as boring as you really are? Because the pictures that we have painted on social media is much different from what we really are. I would like to call it the alter ego, but the painted, glossy alter egos with which we are spending most part of our day. And we're constantly trying to match our real self with that ideal self which we have painted in old social media. And this is creating a constant battle between us, between the real self and the ideal self. Though elections happen just once in 5 years, every day we take up some issue on social media and debate on it. So we religiously take sides and defend our sides, though none of these we already know is going to change the outcome of the elections. But still we enjoy doing it. Even I've done it and I'm not very proud of it. These are just the tip of the iceberg. So many mental health issues are based on social media. Please don't get me wrong, I'm not against social media. There's so much of wonderful work, significant work being done through social media. But these are also downside of social media, which I would like to record today. Fear of missing out, phubbing, where you intentionally ignore the person next to you by looking into your phone. Nomophobia, symptoms of anxiety, depression, unrealistic self-image, wavering self-esteem. These are just the tip of the iceberg. And these are the starting point for other more serious mental illnesses. So these are significant in adolescents and young adults because still in adolescence, the identity formation is not complete. And I would invite you to do a simple self-assessment about your own social media usage. So, to test if you are using social media well, what you could do is not take any questionnaires or complex surveys, but get back and get in touch with your emotions. At the end of your scrolling session, if you feel happy, confident, recharged for the day, right, very hopeful about life, if you feel that way, then probably you're using social media sensibly. You could continue to do as you are doing. But on the other hand, if you're feeling discharged, exhausted, you feel like a failure, and you feel like only your life is stuck in a deadlock and everybody else is progressing with their lives at bullet speeds, if that is your feeling, then it's a sure recipe for disaster. I would invite you to cut your social media usage mercilessly to not spiral down that endless road. So my invitation again is to set realistic boundaries on your social media usage, both physical and emotional boundaries. This is my favorite. Revive that long lost hobby. All of us have an inner child in us. For some it is active, for some it is dormant, and for some it's in hibernation mode, probably for the past so many decades. Why hobbies are significant in the context of mental health is they are more process oriented, unlike the many work that we do in our adult life, which are mostly outcome oriented. So, particularly when you're facing overwhelming situations in life, if you continue to pursue your hobby, it will help you to rediscover your strengths and interests that you had as a kid. And childhood is always a happy period which we want to look back to. And picking up these good things from childhood also gives us the strength to move on when we are facing obstacles in life. It also improves the feelings of anxiety and depression because we are so mindful in what we are doing when we are pursuing a hobby. We focus on the present. We do not have fear of past, fear of future. We're so absorbed about the moment. We're so mindful of our emotions, thoughts that we're going through, that it keeps us cool and composed. Even when we are facing issues, these hobbies help us bounce back to normalcy with ease. So you will have something to go back to when you're facing typically difficult situations in life. So my invitation is for all of you, is to get involved in activities just for the sake of it. It could be anything. It could be painting, it could be dancing, it could be bathroom singing, or anything that you enjoy. The sixth point is, when you are facing difficult situations in your life, ask yourself one question. What would you tell your child or your best friend if he or she is facing the same situation now? Many times we are our own worst critic for our problems. We enjoy seeing our problems through magnifying glasses, which probably others are not even aware of. So we are very unforgiving of ourselves when we fall short of our expectations. But if your friend, your best friend, or if your child is going through the same situation, would you be unkind in the same way? Would you be so unforgiving to them? Ask yourself this question. Would you be a little more compassionate, more forgiving, and more accepting of their mistakes, their failures, and still tell them that they are worthy of a human being? So if you would tell these, if you would be a little more forgiving, if you would be a little more compassionate, if you would be a little more kind towards your friends, best friends, and child's problem, be the same with yourself too. Practice kindness within yourselves. So accept that it is okay to make a mistake and not condemn yourselves for it. It is completely human to make mistakes, and it is these failures, obstacles, big and small, that has made us human today. So it is completely acceptable for another person to make a mistake and still be worthy human being. It is still good for you also to make a mistake and still be a worthy human being. So my invitation, when you're facing failures, sit in a strict no condemnation zone for 20 minutes every day. Think whatever you want to think, feel whatever you want to feel, but even if you have made terrible mistakes as per your own record, do not condemn yourself for it. And just observe how your thoughts, emotions, and behavior will change for the better. Last but not the least, the most important, invest in your support system. I cannot emphasize more on this. What do you have as a fallback when you are facing a big crisis in your life. You have people, you have your friends, you have your family, what you have as a fallback option. So instead of just pursuing your goals, invest your time, energy, and money in building up your support system. Make these part of your goals too. Be empathetic and sensitive. You be the go-to person for people when they face a particularly difficult situation in their lives. You be the go-to person. And when you listen to their problems, be empathetic and sensitive. Have a non-judgmental attitude towards their problems. And if you are having problems, do not hesitate to seek professional help also. Our grandfathers would have probably laughed if we had told them that we have concepts like gym or physical trainer, to boost our physical health. Because good health, good physical health was a way of life, was a way of growing up, probably 3-4 decades before. But now we need assistance like a gym or a physical trainer. The same is the case with mental health also. Like I said before, society has fundamentally changed and we should accommodate ourselves to these changes. And it is completely fine to seek assistance for building up your mental health and resilience also. And there is absolutely no shame in it. So whenever need be, in case you are not able to overcome your problems by yourselves and you need assistance from others to deal with your problems, do not hesitate to seek professional help. Okay, so my invitation to all of you is to look out for those who may need help and do not hesitate to seek or offer support with these problems. And can also help you overcome your crisis situations and overwhelming situations in your life. I would like to leave you all with a nice thought. Life doesn't get easier or more forgiving, but we get stronger and more resilient. Have a great day.
Thank you, Sowmya. That's such a lovely thought. And thank you for those key takeaways and summarizing them. Those were really, really helpful. I think it really kind of drives in the walk your talk aspect. I'm definitely going to practice a lot of those. I think at the end, resilience is like building a new muscle, right? It's just like how you do physical exercise. You have to do it every day. It's not a one-day thing. You have to do it again and again. So like 20 minutes a day, as you mentioned, maybe the magic number. So thank you as well, Sowmya. Now I want to open up the floor to questions from the audiences. So both Divita and Sowmya are available for questions. If anyone had any questions, please either type it in the chat box or unmute yourself and ask the question.
It was a wonderful session. Aarti here.
Hi, Aarti. Yeah, go ahead.
It was an amazing session, both of them, and I think the topic taken by both of them was quite relevant to the times that we are living in, right? Because none of us expected a pandemic to kind of drag along for almost a year now, and if we don't have the resilience to withstand this kind of thing, then it is going to be difficult for people to get out of it. And I think what both Dviti and Sowmya did was probably make things easier for most of us to follow. And if we have been following, maybe reiterate that what we've been doing so far is on the right path. So thanks for that.
Thank you. Actually, maybe I can ask a question. And then I'll open it up to both speakers, and it's not specific to anything from your presentation, but in general, what do you think about, group therapy for resilience? I think both of you made points about asking for support, and essentially the sense of community, that you're not alone, and the fact that we should always be reaching out to each other. So kind of wanted to get your insight. What are your thoughts on group therapy? Do you think it helps students in general? I personally have benefited from it, so wanted to get your insights on it for resilience specifically.
I think group therapy is a great idea because those things, like I said in my presentation also, that we have been missing today as part of our growing up. These things could be frankly and openly discussed when we are in a group setup. And it is comforting to know that we are not alone, and there are a lot of people who are going through these problems. And yes, there is light at the end of the tunnel, right? So we as human beings, we tend to absorb energies from others, both good and bad, right? So in a group therapy session, when we see others go through similar problems like us and going through them successfully, it gives immense energy in us, to follow them and follow what they have done. And it gives us real life instances also, rather than listening to somebody talk and doing. If we see people who have done it in their lives, it's easy for us to incorporate them into our lives too. So group therapy, like you said, is a great option.
Yeah.
Divita, you have something to add?
Yeah, exactly. In fact, it's when we feel that it's not only me who goes through these curves of ups and downs. It's in fact everybody, and everybody is going through, and it's not so straight line for all of us. Because this kind of gives me reassurance, it gives me the faith that okay, everything is fine with me. I take a moment with myself and I relax, I feel rested. And the whole point is that is the moment you need that moment to just relax and say to yourself that yes, of course, everything is well, it will work out. You do have it in you. That courage within you sort of gets ignited when you relate to others, when you see their stories. So it's very powerful to be able to listen to different stories, and to know that it's just different stories which make us. Life in itself is a very beautiful story. Each and every one of us have that story, and this group therapy actually gives us this opportunity to, it's like a window to know other people, what are they going through, and then their story is also equally valid as mine. And then all of us can, we give ourselves permission that all of us can exist in this together. That permission, lot of times we don't give it to ourselves. We're so criticizing, we get into self-loathing, and then we don't know where is that compass, where is control. But when we see other people, we find that control and we say, yes, I am also equally valid, just like other people. And that is magical, in fact. So yes, group therapy is very, in fact, wonderful.
Thank you. I'm waiting for more questions from the audience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just does anyone else want to go, or should I continue? I thought someone started.
For now, I'll see who else has a question.
Yeah. Actually, from both these sessions, this is a question which came up because of what Sowmya mainly pointed out, and to a large extent even Divita put in, that the social media drives our behavior a lot these days, but only in the the fake profile that you put in, the shiny profile that you put in, right? Most of us don't put ourselves out there, or maybe even we put ourselves out there, it is not perceived the same way, because what we put out, because it is not a face-to-face communication, receiver can receive it any way they want. So under these circumstances, and with the nuclear family coming into the picture, when you say go for help, there is also a risk of going for help in the wrong place. So how do you think people should address this or reach out to the right kind of people? Because when group therapy comes in, again, the group therapy has to be with the kind of people who can give perspective and real life scenarios which will put you in a better position, not in a even more bad position than where you were when you came for therapy. So those are things which are coming up in the new scenario because of all these things, changes that have come in over the years. So I would like both or either of them to take this up as a point to be addressed if it's possible. If my question is not clear, you want more elaboration on it, I can add on.
So what I also understand here is that who do we approach? Like I know that I need to seek help, but where do I go for help? Who is the right person to address it, right? Of course, there's a little bit of work that you would have to do. Who is the right person, and who exactly am I looking for? Because there are so many people. Because in our country, in our culture, even the neighbor is very advisable. What is this happening? No, depression. Go do yoga. Subah go for that laughter therapy. Everything will be fine. Arey bacha, what is going on and everything. But that pain, that person understands that no, this is not that. This is something else. I really need to seek somebody. It's not just like neighborly advice. I know you're trying to be very helpful, but this is not that. So one of the thing is, and this is also one of the stigma, that is why people don't really open up and say that, yes, I'm going through this, especially in organization, in corporates. They don't really show that I have really high functioning anxiety. They can't, because they have their peers, they have their bosses. Can I own it up in front of everybody? I mean, what will they say? And then in the meeting, if something happens and then the boss says that, you know what, you should open up more, you're such an introvert. That is a label. I'm not here to get labels from you. I'm here to actually, can you tell me that it's okay, whatever I'm going through is fine. So one thing is, whenever you realize this, first of all, always begin with your own self. A lot of time we stop ourselves because we get into this comparison that what will people say, first of all. And since there are so many tricks and available on Google, you can go through that. But very important thing, so then there are certain parameters. Who exactly is the right person? Go for their, what is their professional qualification? Have they gone through some rigorous training? Because a therapist also has to go through their own therapy to realize what is their own issue, so that they don't transfer it to their clients, so that there is no counter transference and transfers. So that I really have to understand my own insecurities, my own limitations, to be able to understand that, yes, this is how I can help other person. So go through, have a professional who is really very rigorously trained in their trade and know what they're talking about. And also give other people, also give that one chance, because it's also a little bit about trial and error, but it's also about that match. The minute you find that right person and you have that equation, it's like that spark that you have. The minute you understand that this person actually gets my pain, he or she knows where I'm coming from, you get that acceptance from that other person. So it's always important to look at the credentials, and at the same time also you can, if people around you who you think are really worth it can give you, it's like a word of mouth sort of a thing, this person can really help and is really genuine and authentic, that is also another way. So yes, this part actually is very tricky, where you say these days we have so many people coming in and everybody declaring that I'm also really a professional therapist and everything. And this is actually peaking in India right now, because with mental health getting woke up and everything, you see so many handles on Instagram and everybody is like, you know what, this is what you should do and this is how should it happen. But is it okay that can I approach you? So there is one difference where it comes in, that please apply your brains when you actually go out and search for the right person. Look for the credential, look for the training, and then you know that you're in the right hands. It's like finding the right teacher. You know, you really love that teacher. You find that really motivational, inspirational teacher, that this teacher, I'm not going to miss his or her class. It's really finding that correct match. It might come a little bit later, but you will find that right person. Also go out with that intention.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
rightly pointed out by Divita, I would like to add a point here again. In our country, there are no licensing bodies yet formally established, like you have for Medical Council of India. We do not have a licensing body for counselors in India. So, right, like Aarti pointed out, anybody and everybody can call them counselor or a therapist in India. And there are no clear demarcations as to who is who. So, like Divita pointed out, to a large extent, it is good if we could go through word of mouth, look at the credentials also, and know whom we are approaching also. If for adjustment issues and issues related to how to get over a present problem, many people go on to take the help of a psychiatrist in India, because psychiatrists in India are more popular than psychologists even today, with so much of mental health awareness. So psychiatrists to a large extent are not really trained in counseling the person, and they at the first go they start prescribing medicines for issues which may not require medical support. So what I would, my suggestion would be to approach a counselor or a psychotherapist who could help you first with your problems, and if need be, if there are symptoms of psychosis or if there are symptoms of hallucinations or delusions which cannot be handled only through counseling and therapy, then to approach a psychiatrist. So I just wanted to add this point to Divita's.
Thank you. Yeah, that was really, really insightful, Sowmya. Yeah, and Hardik, it's true. It's like finding a right musical chair for self. Yeah, trial and error.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very rightly pointed out. Exactly, it is like that.
Yep. I know one person had question and was speaking up. I couldn't catch who that was. Can you please go ahead with your question now? And this will have to be the
I
last
think
question
Sakib.
because of the lack of time. Saket, was that you?
Yeah. So actually, I was trying to understand because sometimes people go through challenges, and like it might be something like very severe challenge which one is going through, something like suicidal thoughts and all that. So in those instances, it might be difficult for them to find the right person or the right guide so that they can share their, share what they're going through. In such kind of situations, what do you think is the best thing that person can do?
I think if they already have a good rapport with their therapist, and the therapist is also aware of their suicidal thoughts, then they should be the first point of contact for any such situation.
Yeah,
And if
one
that
thing
is
is like a lot of people do not have that contact with therapist also. For
right,
example, even finding a therapist in that situation is not that easy. So what do you
yes.
think based on your experience is the best thing for the person to do?
So what I would suggest is the case that I just said is, if you're already seeing a therapist and if you are having suicidal intentions. In other case, I think instead of finding someone at that point of time, where you cannot afford to make a trial and error mistake, it is better to go through suicidal helplines like Sneha, which is run in Chennai. So my thought would be to approach suicidal helplines, which are 24/7.
Yes. And also, see, this is also a part of a larger narrative. It's also talking about mental health at the very basic level, starting from schools. A child is having, I'm in class 11th, I am about to face boards, I have to make this big decision, science, arts, I'm not able to handle science. At that moment, it feels like it's very overwhelming. I don't know who can I go and turn up to. It's very important to thereby have the right people who are the torch bearers. So starting from school, do we have a counselor there? Do we have a teacher who dedicates like maybe a day in a week where she listens or he listens to the children there in the school, students in the school? And do they have more awareness sessions in their own school? It's actually starting from there, more awareness. Now here is where actually the power of social media also comes in. And here is exactly where initiative like yours, initiative like Sahib, they all come in this picture, where you can actually very proactively reach out to people and share that number and share that it's just reach out, maybe just text. So having more such initiatives. So when we have this, when we understand what are the operational obstacles, that is how we then, because I might also have to have some example in front of me. Okay, fine, this friend of mine was going through something and now I see certain changes in her or him. Can I go and approach that person? How do I make that easy? How do I let that stigma go? So it's also really part of the larger picture. We have to address all of that, and we can't really just pick this one part out that, okay, reach out to the therapist, but how can I reach out? I have to be very okay about talking these issues. So having more such awareness initiatives are also a very, very important part of it. And we can actually cater to, we can actually reach out to people, to students mostly, who are really, really very, where feel that they are very helpless in that situation where they're actually not. So this is also one point that I thought is also very important, that we look at the bigger picture as well here.
Completely. Thank you, Divita. That was very important. As you mentioned, yes, BITSAA Sahaaya is all about raising awareness to reduce the stigma. And actually, as a part of that, the reason we have partnered with Empower is
Yes.
because we want to kind of, raise awareness about the fact that there is an opportunity available for students. I mean, they have access. So it's a mix of awareness plus access. So if there was a person who did not even have awareness or access, then obviously that person would not be able to do anything about it. But if they know that there is something available, then they would have the opportunity to at least seek help. That's where I think both BITSAA Sahaaya and Empower are working together, and you kind of literally just summarize everything that we wanted to achieve through this webinar in that one point. Thank you so much. Okay, so I think we are way, past our time. So I thank everyone who stayed on call for much longer and participating in really insightful and helpful discussion. Thank you to both our speakers. Thank you for everyone who asked questions. And I hope that this is start of a great partnership with Empower, especially because I think what we need to do, as we just said, is to raise awareness and ensure that people have access. So thank you once again and have a happy weekend.
Thank you so much, Divya, and thank you, Sowmya. It was really a wonderful opportunity to come here. And I really look
Thank you,
forward
same
to
to you, Divita.
such many wonderful times.
Yep.
I would
Yeah.
like to extend my thanks to BITSAA and Project Sahaaya team, the entire team. And
Yeah. Thank you all team members. Thank you Hardik and Saket and Aditya for all the coordination and getting this organized. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye, Aarti. Thank you.